As we begin the new year, many of us may ask, what do I want to do differently this year? How do I want to improve my life? One possibility is to take a closer look at alcohol's role in our lives. Maybe we join the growing trend and give it up for a set amount of time as an experiment. Or maybe we just pay closer attention to what we say to ourselves about it and how it makes us feel. In recent years, Dry January, or Sober October, or a month of sobriety for the physical and mental health benefits have gained popularity around the world. According to the British Medical Journal, although most people who participate in Dry January return to drinking, up to 8% stay dry 6 months later, and those who go back to drinking drink less. A new trend labeled Sober Curious, the decision to abstain from alcohol temporarily, is gaining traction. The sober curious don't stop drinking because they must. Instead, they stop because they are curious about what would happen if they didn't consume alcohol for a while. As a growing percentage of consumers cut back on their alcohol consumption, demand for beverages with no or low alcohol content is rising. Within bars and restaurants, no and low alcohol beer is the 5th fastest growing beer type in the US, and sober bars are popping up all across the nation. Establishments with the dark atmosphere and entertainment of a bar, but serving strictly non-alcoholic beverages. In January of 2019, I wanted to understand the role of alcohol in my life, so I made the decision to eliminate it from my diet for 1 year as an experiment. I guess you could say I was sober curious. I didn't quit because I had a drinking problem. I quit because I had a problem with drinking. I have always prided myself on my reasonable temperament and self-control. But I began to notice that 2 things were happening when I drank that seemed irrational and lacking in self-control. First, I noticed that after approximately 2 glasses of wine, something I called my tipping point occurred, and I lost the ability to stop drinking. I found myself wanting more alcohol to maintain the feeling that 2 glasses of wine had created. Second, in addition to the sometimes debilitating hangover from drinking, I would occasionally wake up to a memory of being overly emotional about something that, when sober, wasn't even a big deal. I had also come to believe that I was more fun and had more fun when I was drinking, and that I needed a glass of wine to unwind after a stressful day. I was curious to discover if these beliefs were in fact true. Alcohol is pure poison to the body. Ethyl alcohol, ethanol, is the drinkable alcohol we find in our alcoholic beverages, and even though it's drinkable, it's still toxic, as demonstrated by the body's attempt to eradicate it when we consume it. Alcohol throws off the balance in the pleasure center of the brain. As we drink alcohol, dopamine gets dumped into our system, creating that buzzed feeling that makes us want more of what gave us the pleasure. The brain then seeks to protect itself from the toxins in the alcohol, so it releases a chemical downer, dynorphin, a naturally occurring painkiller that has been linked to depression. Dynorphin numbs all pleasure equally, and drinking alcohol leads to a muted pleasure response to enjoyable life experiences. This explains why, with prolonged alcohol use, a person can no longer find happiness apart from drinking. And with regular heavy drinking, dynorphin levels are so high that even the alcohol ceases to provide the illusion of pleasure. As the effects of the first drink wears off, dynorphin suppresses our initial feeling of euphoria, and our sense of well-being falls below where it was when we started drinking. The elevated dopamine levels then make us crave more of what made us feel good, what I called my tipping point. So we have another glass of wine. The amount of alcohol it takes to feel that initial euphoria is different for everyone, and the more we drink regularly, the more alcohol it takes to get there. And once we are there, it only lasts about 20 minutes. Then it's gone. We spend the rest of the evening trying to get that feeling back. But due to our body's need for chemical balance, no matter how much we subsequently drink, that feeling will not return. In other words, whether we drink a glass or a bottle of wine, we are only going to experience approximately 20 minutes of artificial euphoria. A strange thing happened about 3 weeks into my experiment. I lost all desire for alcohol, and I knew I was done with drinking. In a short period of time, I felt better physically, more balanced emotionally, and clearer mentally. I decided that the price of my short and long-term health and well-being wasn't worth the occasional 20 minutes of manufactured euphoria. I'm not more fun with alcohol. I'm actually more irrationally emotional and annoying. I don't have more fun with alcohol because my senses are so numbed that I'm not truly connecting with anyone. And although the initial euphoria of drinking can make me feel relaxed for about 20 minutes, the subsequent chemical battle in my body can actually cause greater anxiety. So, a glass of wine doesn't help me to unwind. I've also learned that there's a new tipping point for me as a sober person. Hanging out with people drinking alcohol can be fun, but hanging out with drunk people is not fun. So when the evening becomes a cacophony of voices competing loudly to tell the same story that was told 5 minutes ago, I slip out the back door. If you answer yes to any of these questions, you may want to try your own experiment. Do you drink more than you plan to drink? Have you wanted to cut back or stop drinking but found it harder than you expected? Do you find yourself regretting the after effects of drinking? For example, headache, hangover, etc. Whether you give up alcohol temporarily or simply pay closer attention to how you think and feel while drinking, embarking on your own experiment can inform you about the role of alcohol in your life. Once informed, you can choose the role you want it to play in your future.